What's up, Rockstars? Welcome to another news video. A lot has happened since I've talked to you last time. There are some big things. My top game that I've been looking for a long time now has a date of launch. I'll share that with you. A ton of failed campaigns too. We're going to be talking over that. There's just a lot kind of going on, so we need to discuss a whole bunch. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. Alright, we're going to dive into things. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm wearing an Into the AM shirt. Go ahead and check them out. Linked down in the description below. Let's go ahead and, let's talk about Runar. Now, Runar is by Ludus Madness Studio. It's their latest one, and it's also one of their slowest, I feel. It's definitely kind of a mellow, chill kind of campaign. That 228, which is no laughing matter at all. It's $228,000. I know I wouldn't be upset about that as a person, not as a company, right? And so this is definitely a kind of small scale for them, and I feel like they're kind of overstretching a little bit. I think they need to kind of slow down a little bit, deliver some stuff, and I think ride that hype wave a bit more. But this is kind of a little bit delayed from DEI, but then it's also like before, you know, like the Nova Sciatus Renaissance and stuff like that. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, by the way. But either way, I think it's just kind of a bad timing on their spot to launch this. It's really, really busy on Kickstarter. They're kind of towards the tail end of that. And then on top of all of that, between being well after DEI delivery, but then well before the other delivery, it's kind of like in a weird slump, right? It almost would have been better before, but then they would have been under higher competition. Kind of hard to judge this kind of stuff, right? But either way, that is where it's at, and hopefully around 1,500 people at the time of recording. There's still 4 days left to go. Have a blast with it when they get it. Pest, also online. I think I shared this only twice before. They're at 130. They asked for 30, so they're 100,000 more than that. So very, very much more indie when it comes to kind of aspirations and, you know, what kind of where they're going for that. Again, probably not the type of game I would back. It is a type of game I would play at a game night with somebody if they forced me to, and I would even have an enjoyable time with it, I think. And the theme looks really cool as well. But yeah, just again, one of those things where it's just flying under the radar, and this seems what most of them are. Forged, if it'll load, Forged is at 156, about 1,200 people. I think last time I covered this, they were under 1,000 people still. Maybe they were right at around 1,000. Either way, it's good to get that kind of 1,000 mark, I feel, to really feel like, regardless of the money raised, that, hey, there's a fan base here. There's people who actually are kind of interested in this. So I think that's super cool. They launched 3 times, and I explained back then, I think after seeing the same thing 3 different times, it can get kind of hard. I think you would normally lose people every time, but instead I think they actually gained people every time. So their business model did improve a lot. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't lose people anyway, because they're just, I mean, sometimes you only get one chance with a potential backer, and then they don't come back, right? They're off Kickstarter. They're done. They moved on. They forgot. So I think that's a testament to how good of a deal they have gotten, which is great. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at stretch goals. I like to show them off every time just to kind of take a look at everything. And let's see here. Let's see. Okay, here we are. Stretch goals, blah, 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 blah. Not actually a whole lot. This is really the only new thing that's come since it's a ghoul squad. Now, ghouls are fun. These are really fit ghouls, by the way. It looks like they are like, they just look lean and muscular, actually. Definitely a physical threat, which is kind of cool. Normally they're fairly skinny and meandering, I feel. So that's kind of cool. I dig that, I suppose. I think the sewer rats might be added too. I think it might have just been him. So I think they may have added these two. Maybe it was that way. Either way, that large green hag is freaking sweet. So it was like this giant ape. I mean, just have a lot of cool minis here now. And I think that's great for everybody involved. Them, for us, everybody. Gatefall's also still chilling at around 21,000. I think that's almost exactly where they were before. Maybe a few dollars difference. It just changed. 8 days left to go, so they'll still have that last 48. Definitely kind of, again, I don't want to say quick and dirty because that sounds like bad, but what I mean is like, it was something they could just kind of pump out, get some money, do well, deliver something that people either have been interested in or are interested in for a game that's fairly decent too. And at a pretty good price, especially with the standee version out now. I think it's pretty neat. Anawak, their relaunch is at 25,000. They have been around there this whole time. This is kind of unfortunate. Only 133 backers, still 10 days to go. They have, because before it was only like the first update, but even then they've been very slow with the updates, which I feel is too bad. I think that's kind of a waste of time. So they had one around Thanksgiving on November 25th, and then finally another one on November 29th, and then nothing since there where they kind of hit halfway. And that's great and all, and the art looks cool and stuff like that, but this is still a very kind of chill and mellow update. And I just feel like there needs to be a lot more engagement when it comes to learning about the game, getting the word out, asking for feedback, all that kind of stuff. As you can see, they're up to, they're commenting in here and stuff like that. Though even still, there's been like one comment today, so they really need, I think, to put kind of the hustle in that. We're going to cover the Thinning Veil here soon, and I think they leaned way too far into that. But there is, I think, a happy middle ground between two extremes of barely any communication to way, way too much communication. And so I hope they use their time on here wisely to kind of figure out what they need to figure out, if that makes sense. Areodome Rising Horizons Season 1 is also available. I covered this a long time ago. It's finally around the 4-day mark here. 42,000 out of 25,000. The 42,000, I believe, by the way, because if you look at the game, it looks like it doesn't... They're not going in at their first game trying to like make something that costs a bajillion, dollaroos and is just ridiculous. It looks kind of like an X-Wing card game. It actually looks pretty neat. I dig that. Again, I would enjoy a play session with somebody, I am sure. I like the style. It's all neon, which is pretty cool too. But anyway, they are funded and they're kind of going strong there. So more power to them. Mentioned the Thinning Veil. Here they are. Obviously, it did not fund. However, they wanted 184,000. They got to 113. That ain't half bad. And in my opinion, it did that well, almost in spite of the amount of communication that was kind of coming out, and a little bit of, I don't want to say us versus them, but a little bit of, here's our group, and then any kind of thing that's not in our group, we're not going to be necessarily the most welcoming to a whole lot of questions and stuff like that, which is kind of unfortunate because I think it's a good way to earn people. I have actually had people join my Patreon. This is not a blurb for that, but have joined my Patreon that started out with us having a disagreement. I like to call it a discussion, not an argument, and it was never like that, but I've had that happen before. I argue with my patrons sometimes even. Like, we just have different opinions, but you can kind of go past that and actually win people over by just being really open to stuff. And so I hope to see kind of an improvement on that. Also, they had 65 updates. Incidentally, it did stop with the project in. Like, they just hard stopped. 65 within a few days, really, of the campaign. And then since November 30th, no updates at all. Kind of interesting as well. I'm sure they're kind of reassessing kind of what they need to do to kind of do well. And it obviously did get close. I think with a proper business push, it can reach what it needs to reach. And in fact, far beyond that, I think there's a lot of potential there. But anyway, it's one of those things where it's such a good product, I think, and it appeals to enough people to where, in spite of any kind of mishaps, it still seems to be doing fairly well. Hopefully I'm explaining that well. I guess if you have any questions, we can discuss it, or if you have any disagreements, you can discuss it. I think the big thing on this, for me, is Kickstarter's been around long enough. It's a fairly new, especially with as big as it is, a fairly new industry, fairly new way of having board games. And with the delay in deliveries, we're only about maybe on our third or fourth cycle in, I would say, when it comes to backing, getting games, backing, getting games, backing, getting games. I think for a large part of us, if you think back to something like Storm Center, which was just delayed a couple more months, and I'm not covering it beyond that for now, but that seems almost like forever ago. At least it does to me. And maybe this is a pre-COVID kind of thing. But either way, that seems at least a cycle ago, and it hasn't even delivered yet. So if you think about it, these cycles are multi-year long processes. But we have gotten to the point where we have a lot of games. A lot of us do. And so you really have to kind of stand out, and just having a cool idea isn't even necessarily enough, but really telling that idea. I know we talked about bullet points before, and they did end up adding bullet points at some point. However, the bullet points I don't think are very good, because a lot of these don't actually sound very unique to me. Now, it doesn't mean it's not a good game, but I think you need to be more than just good at being a generic dungeon crawl. And I don't mean generic in a bad way. I just mean like you can be really good at something that you already have. And maybe it's even a better version of something you already have. But when it comes like to mechanically speaking or conceptually speaking, Aeon Trespass Odyssey is about to deliver. And one of the things they did was a combat paradigm shift where the weaker you get, the stronger you get. You almost get that Super Saiyan thing where you were going to die, but instead you turn into a literal god. That kind of thing is something unique, something interesting, something different. And so really pointing out what is different. And if there isn't anything super unique and different, find something that is. Make it super unique and different. I don't think being a very cool looking dungeon crawl, but just having the looks is enough. You definitely need to really highlight in a business way kind of what sets you apart. Terran Expanse, the Great Colonial Migration, also didn't fund at, they needed 30,000, they only got 12,000. And then real quick, Grim Dark Dungeon Master Catacombs Necromancer, their second round here on Kickstarter now, also failed to get even quite to the halfway point of the 50,000. You know, they have some great attitudes around, hey, we're going to lick our wounds, we're going to figure out what we did wrong, we're going to kind of reassess and go at it again. I think that's great. No, all the power to them. I hope they succeed wildly, because we need creators to be doing well. Which kind of brings me, I guess, to a brief point before we get to some really cool stuff, which we will get to some cool stuff. And then some drama, and yeah, it'll be whatever. But seriously, I kind of spoke about this with Elden Ring a little bit, because I think we all agree that it wasn't the best deal ever when it comes to how much game you're getting and the quality of the game you're getting versus cost, right? I don't know of anybody besides maybe SFG that would argue anything else. It definitely is, I think, a premium purchase for what you're getting. But I kind of commented that I'm a little bit more okay with that, and it's because of this stuff. It's because of this. Even this. I mean, it just, I cover this all the time, guys. And there's all of these couldn't fund, didn't fund, going out of business, asking for more money, having a big issue, super big delays, waiting out shipping, charging too much for shipping. Consumers are upset. The creators are upset. Everybody's upset. Everybody's struggling through this. And if a premium product that charges a premium product and price is charging what it is, I'm almost kind of happy. And I hope you guys understand the conflict. Maybe I'm alone in this. Maybe some of you feel the same way. Like, you know what? Like, this is stupid and it's expensive, but at least I know I'm going to get it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's really, really good. So anyway, that's where we're at there. Let's go to move on to, boom, we have a date. January 24th, we are going to have Batman Escape from Arkham Asylum live on GameFound, and I'm super excited, super stoked. This is going to be a great start to the year, and I'm really hoping for a lot of success for them. I don't know prices. I've never played the game. I don't know if anybody's played the game. I don't know how much out there they've been with prototype stuff like that. It's been long delayed, but I am still super excited for it. So stay tuned for more coverage on that. Also, Homeworld, really what this is a big update. Really, though, Q1 2023 is where it's coming out. One thing I did want to point out is, while I know you get a lot of stuff from them, and Modifius traditionally has made some fantastic tabletop resin miniatures even. Even some fairly decent PVC minis and stuff like a version of the Wasteland Warfare for Fallout, stuff like that. That looks really bad, especially this one. I guess what I'm saying is you're going to get a ton of minis, but just know that a lot of them aren't exactly the best quality. I have no idea what's even going on there. Like, this is at least detailed, but this is just, hopefully they can improve some of that. Like, this looks better, but I don't know what's a render, what's not, or anything like that. I just know that doesn't look good to me. So I guess there's at least that. All right, moving on from that, we have Monolith, who gained the rights to Conan RPG. So if you didn't know, that used to be Modifius, and they did quite a bit there. I think they even say somewhere in here how much they made, but they made a whole bunch of books, 20 beautiful hardback books to our name and numerous beautiful accessories. Okay, but they're like, all right, so we've done ours. Now, actually, Monolith owns board game and RPG. So I don't know if this is going to end up being essentially a Tenaris adventures kind of scenario where they're going to do a RPG board game mix, or I'm not sure what that leads them to. I guess it'll be time will tell. All I know is that I'm sure Matt is super excited over there. Matthew John, as he's called in here, he lives and breathes Conan, and I'm sure this is a dream come true for him. And I know he's been involved in a lot of Conan projects too. So to him, this is just like another day, I imagine. Okay, now I'm sad to say that now after November, so starting in December, Mythic Games kind of let go of anybody that's not essential for delivery of their products. And when I say let go, I mean I think it's a mix, right? I believe it's really people resigning, but resigning from essentially necessity, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. There is going to be an announcement, and I'll talk about that briefly. But first of all, Seb, he did make a post. He was their painter. He's a fantastic painter, and I'm sure somebody will pick him up real quick and love to have him. And it's unfortunate that they lost him. David as well. He's a great guy. I've taught him a few times. He's also not there anymore. And then Chaz posted this saying that Chaz also has resigned his position in early October, actually, and now is essentially out of there. Now he says his NDA agreement precludes any further discussion, other than that he could not, in confidence, move forward with the company's planned direction. Then he'll leave it to Leo to shed light on the current situation and future plans. I don't know what he means by in confidence in this context. So I don't know if it's some weird, like, it just didn't come across, or, I don't know. I don't know exactly what was meant by that. I'm not going to even try and read into it. What I will say is Leo is, I believe, planning an announcement. I will cover it, of course. In fact, I will be having a chat with him to try and get more information so that I have as much information as I can when talking to you guys about it. But I will be covering that because I have a lot of money invested in Mythic Games. I don't know if you knew this or not, but I'm right there with a lot of you guys where they have a lot of my money, and I'm very curious on when I'm going to be getting the product that I paid for. So I will let you guys know. I'll be chatting with Leo. Just know that that is coming up, and I'll definitely be covering it. If you have any insights, any thoughts, or maybe any questions you want me to ask, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I would honestly love to know so I can sync up with you guys. Lastly, Sankokushin. It is coming up. Just know that you are not getting an update until they are ready. So I actually reached out to Axis Mundi about Sankokushin, and just because I know a lot of you guys were as curious like I was, like, hey, what's going on? You guys are supposed to launch this quarter. When's that happening? And got essentially the answer I think a lot of us expected, which is, what do you mean? I mean, there's no big deal. We're fine, which is great. I just, maybe a little bit more communication. Sadly, I don't think we're going to do that. That being said, they did say, hey, do you have any questions? I have not responded to that yet. If you have questions around Sankokushin, again, let me know down in the comments below, and I will then sync up with them and kind of be ideally a little bit of an in-between to make sure that, if nothing else, those questions can help inform the update that we will be getting, because they will be having an update, and of course I will cover that as well. But now is the time to have your voice heard. They are listening to me a little bit, so I can then say something. So if you're trying to kind of get through, perhaps I can be of service to you guys. And really, at the end of the day, I hope this video was as some kind of service to you guys. Maybe it's just entertainment. Maybe it's informative. Maybe you appreciate kind of diving into a few things, or just hearing thoughts on a few things as somebody who has spent far too much in this hobby. But I love it. I love it. I love you guys. I love the jazz about people making games. And at the end of the day, I think that's great. So I don't want everything. Look, there's a lot of negativity in the news. But I don't want to be negative. I hope that makes sense. Guys, I hope your day isn't negative. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great holiday season. If you celebrate Merry Christmas to you guys. I hope you have a great one. I'll still be making updates, of course, so you guys haven't heard the last of me here. In fact, I will be announcing, again, the big 2023 games that are coming up, so stay tuned for that. With that, have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye.